So we're going to turn it over to Michaela.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very excited to be here with you all, and I love seeing all of your smiling faces on Zoom. I'm happy that technology can bring us all together, even though we're all over the state of Maine. I know Kyle is joining us from up north. I imagine several of you are scattered around. So this is really fun that we can be all together in one place. I'm going to share a presentation. So what you'll see on the screen are some slides, and then I'll talk to you about the information on the slides. While I'm sharing, I won't be able to see your faces. So I won't see if you use the hand raise. Some things you can do. So maybe if Lori or Monique could, interrupt. And so just to kind of get my attention, we can pause, but I am going to make sure we have time at the end for questions. So if you have a burning question, feel free to use the hand raise, and Lori or Monique can interrupt me, or you can save your question for the end and we'll try and go through the questions then. Does that sound good? All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Can you see that now? Okay. Very good. So again, my name is Michaela Smith. I work at Bangor Savings Bank and I'm a product manager. I've worked here for about 11 years and I have been working on ABLE accounts for about 4 years. So quite a long time. I've been thinking about, talking about, working on ABLE, and I'm really excited about it. So first, it's helpful to understand why Bangor Savings Bank wanted to work on ABLE accounts. So ABLE accounts are a way for us to deliver on our promise to you. As a community bank, our purpose is drawn from the people we serve. So we're here to help our employees, our customers, and our communities thrive and prosper. So what that means is that we're always looking for ways to be a better bank, and to help our neighbors in the communities that we serve. Our promise positioned us to really look at who we can serve better and how. And we know that all journeys are different, and we just want to meet our customers where they are with an appropriate product. So in this case, that product that we're going to talk about is an ABLE account. So these are the things that we'll cover today. We'll first talk about what is ABLE. We'll learn about the ABLE Maine program. We will also talk about basic eligibility criteria, limits, and other transactions. And then we'll look at the features of the Maine ABLE benefit checking account. We will provide you with some information about next steps and some resources to walk away with. And then, as I mentioned, it's really important to me that we save some time for questions at the end. So before we get started, I do want to talk about some key terms or words that we'll use during this presentation. The first one is authorized representative. And what that means is a person other than the beneficiary who establishes authority over the account when the beneficiary cannot sign or would like an additional signer. So that's authorized representative. A beneficiary is the individual with a disability who is the owner of the ABLE account and for whose benefit deposits to and withdrawals from the account are made. For ABLE accounts, the beneficiary must qualify as an eligible individual before opening their account. Another word we'll use throughout the presentation is earnings. And what that means is income gained from either an investment or when your account pays interest. That's how we're using the word earnings. And then the last kind of unique word is fiduciary. So a fiduciary is a person or an organization that acts on behalf of another person and is legally bound to act in their best interest. So what is ABLE? ABLE programs were created as a result of the passage of the Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience Act of 2014, which is better known as the ABLE Act. What we know is there is a resource limit of $2,000 for most means-tested benefits, but saving in an ABLE account allows qualified individuals to exceed this limit and maintain eligibility for supplemental security income, or SSI, Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, Medicaid, or other public benefits. The ABLE Act allows each state to establish their own ABLE program. Some programs can be utilized nationally, and others can only be used by state residents. ABLE accounts might also be called 529A accounts, and many of these accounts look a lot like 529 qualified tuition plans. So this map shows in green all of the states that have active ABLE programs. So the great news is that most of the states in our country have an ABLE program. I love that. Some of these states have multiple programs. So Virginia, for example, they actually have 2 ABLE programs. There are also coalitions or groups of states that have joined together to offer ABLE. 13 states are partnered with Ohio and their state treasurer's office under the STABLE program. So Maine, up here in the north, we launched our program in October of 2001, and then we turned green. So in order to make launching the ABLE Maine program possible, the Maine legislature had to authorize or allow the state treasurer's office to establish a qualified ABLE program for Maine residents. In addition, we also proposed some additional laws for Maine people. Those are Maine, state of Maine will not seek payment from an ABLE account, so will not use money from an ABLE account or its proceeds for Maine care benefits that were provided to a beneficiary upon the death of the individual. So the state won't try and take the money that's in your ABLE account and use it to repay your Maine care benefits. Another law was passed that said any earnings, which is one of those words we talked about. So any earnings on an ABLE account are not taxable. And any money that's held in an ABLE account should not be counted as a resource when determining if you're eligible for state level means tested benefit programs. So once we got all of that taken care of, all the laws were in place, Bangor Savings Bank entered an agreement and said, yes, we want to partner with you, state of Maine. And we worked with the state treasurer to be administrator of ABLE accounts. Then we worked together to talk about what we thought Mainers needed most, which was an easy to access transactional checking account that meets all of the federal requirements of a qualified ABLE program. That does make our program a little different than most other states because all other state programs are focused on investment accounts. Those are often administered by organizations like Fidelity is a good example. You may have heard them talked about if you've looked into other state programs. So I will talk a little about the differences in the ABLE Maine program and other state programs. Many of these differences result from guidance that the IRS has put into place. They finalized that guidance in 2020, and they focused on investment products. So as a result, the ABLE Maine program does not have investment products. So that this is not invested money, it's just money in a checking account. The account is not paying interest. So it's non-interest bearing. And because of that, we can only accept a rollover, so money coming from another ABLE program into the ABLE Maine program, as long as that account doesn't have earnings. I do see a question in the chat. I'm going to take a minute just to answer it. So Brian is asking, do you have to report the money in your ABLE account when reporting to SSI, SSDI, etc.? I know it doesn't count, but do you still have to report it? I would say yes. It's always best to just report everything, and they will know that because this money is in an ABLE account, they shouldn't count that as a resource. So that's a great question, but yes, you should still report. All right. So we know that some Mainers will choose to open an ABLE account in another state's program, and that's okay. So some may choose to open an account here with Bangor Savings Bank because they want a checking account. They like being able to talk to a banker in a branch. Maybe they just feel more comfortable keeping their money locally. Other people may choose to look at another state's program. Maybe they really want to earn interest on their money, or they want to have investment options. So a resource you can use to help make the best decision is this. This is on the ABLE National Resource Center, and this is called the 3-state comparison tool. So what you can do if you go to this website is you can click, you'll choose 3 states that you want to compare, and then it will give you a set of options. So I can see here, Maine, Rhode Island, and Kansas, their ABLE programs are all FDIC insured. I can see that Maine, Rhode Island don't have income tax deductions, but Kansas does. So it's a good way to just quickly see the differences in different programs. And the URL is right here, ablenrc.org/compare-states. I will send out a copy of this presentation. Maybe I could send it to you, Lori, for distribution to the group. And that way you'll have this, this link right here.
Great, and I just copied it and popped it in the chat if anybody wanted to.
You're awesome.
Grab that.
Thank you. All right, so there's 4 slides coming up, and we're going to talk about some things that are really unique to the ABLE account. The first one we'll talk about is eligibility. So in order to be eligible for an ABLE account, it's important that the individual's disability needed to be present before their 26th birthday. If the person meets that age criteria and is getting benefits from SSI or SSDI, they are automatically eligible for an ABLE account. It's also possible that someone is not getting SSI or SSDI because of resource counting rules. So maybe you've exceeded that $2,000 limit, so you're not receiving it currently. You would still be eligible for an ABLE account. And then if you're not receiving SSI or SSDI, but you do meet that age of onset requirement of 26, you could still be eligible to open an ABLE account as long as you meet Social Security's criteria regarding disabilities and you have a disability certification that's signed by your doctor. We also require that the beneficiary must be a Maine resident. Our program is not open to out-of-state residents. And the eligible individual can only have one ABLE account. So if you have an ABLE account in Maine, you can also have an ABLE account in Ohio. You can only have one. I see that Mike has his hand raised. Do you have a question you'd like to ask, Mike?
Yes, I have a disability through, and I'm receiving SSDI, and of course the bank already knows that we're already customers of yours. But we don't obviously. I don't think we have the documentation for the doctor any longer. We have. Would we be able to bring in like a social security statement to you guys, or?
Yes, you don't even need to prove to us at the bank that you're receiving Social Security. So we don't need to look at any paperwork that you have.
Yeah, I'm just concerned with the age thing because I'm not sure when we applied for it. I know we applied for it late, but we were able to get it. But it was down in Massachusetts when we applied for it, when we applied for the disability stuff.
Yeah, as long as as long as your disability existed before you turned 26, you would be eligible.
From what I gather, I think it did, but it's hard to say because our doctor didn't. Actually, can I? I'm going to ask the bank those kind of questions because they're getting kind of personal. But
Okay.
is there a way that maybe I could get your phone number and could you maybe contact me and we could discuss more? You know, on a, like I said, we have a local branch right here at Holton, so.
Yes. So what I would suggest for you is to contact the Holton branch and maybe you can go in or talk to them on the phone and they can, it can be really specific to your circumstance. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Do you have a phone number as well too that you could send in the text, or how do we reach out to you? Okay.
Yes. Let me make a quick note.
Next, I saw Regina's hand, and then I do see Eric and Rose. So Regina, Mike, was your question answered?
Yeah, actually, she can give me a call if she wants to, or I can try to get in touch with her. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Regina?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. My question is, I was diagnosed after that age. Will that still be eligible for me to sign up for it anyway?
It's possible that you were diagnosed later in life, but your disability existed before you turned 26.
For a very long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's really when, so I'll use Down syndrome as an example. That's something you're born with. It's, it's present before 26. You might not get diagnosed until later, and that's okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Eric?
Yeah. My question is with the opening of the ABLE accounts. If you have, I'm just curious to know about this. I know you have, in order to open up a Maine ABLE account, you have to be a Maine resident. But where it might get a little confusing is that Bangor Savings Bank has branched out to other states. So I'm just curious to know how you folks are handling that to make sure that only Maine residents are opening up a Bangor Savings Bank ABLE account, and you don't get into a situation where somebody is going to with a disability is visiting a branch in New Hampshire.
That's a great question. It's a fantastic question. So we do have branches in New Hampshire, and some of them are close to the border. So we can open an account in New Hampshire, but when we check your ID, we will make sure that the person is actually living in Maine. They're a resident of Maine.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I wanted to check with you on that, because I know you've opened branches in New Hampshire, and I also believe you have a couple of branches in Massachusetts, I believe, as well.
We're getting there. Yes. Yeah. Very good question. Something we did think a lot about.
Thank you, Eric. Rose?
Do you guys have a branch in Presque Isle or near Presque Isle?
I think the closest one would be Holton.
Okay. I just wonder because I have more questions as well.
Mhm.
So if I could get a hold of somebody, I would love to use more questions, be able to ask more questions.
Yes.
The only thing is like, with the able accounts, can you use them as a bank account? Like, can you like get a debit card with them?
Yes. Yep. So
That's-
it's just like a checking account. You can have a debit card. You can use online banking. You can go to an ATM. I mean, there are some differences, of course, because of the ABLE rules and laws, but the major one is that you can only use the money that's in ABLE accounts for qualified disability expenses. And we'll talk a little more about that in an upcoming slide. But yes, we tried to make them as close to a standard checking account as we possibly could.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are asking awesome questions.
Mike, I see your hand and then we'll go to Sarah.
Hey, Michaela, it's me again.
Hi.
Just a quick question. When we first moved up here to Maine, we had set up what was referred to as a special needs trust fund.
Yep.
And that had to be transferred up here to Maine, but it was opened up in Massachusetts. But I have no access to that account at all, and that's not even with you guys. Does that disqualify me from the ABLE account?
No, you can have a special needs trust or supplemental needs trust or a pooled trust and an ABLE account.
Okay, perfect. That's all I need to know. Thank you.
Very good.
I did see that Stormy had her hand raised as well.
Okay,
She
and
typed a question in the chat.
yeah, so Stormy, do you want me to read that? She said, I don't understand because my mom is holding my SSI check. So is she your rep payee, Stormy? And we lost her. Okay, we'll go to Sarah. Oh, no, I guess we didn't.
They told me somebody told me that she's not supposed to hold on to that she's supposed to hold, but actually my dad's my PE.
Okay, I would suggest if she's holding something that she's not supposed to, you should call Mary Green, okay?
Okay.
And Mary can help you sort that part out, okay?
Okay, because Mary tried to do that, but my mom continues to tell my dad that she doesn't have it when she does.
Okay, well, I would keep telling Mary what you hear, okay?
Okay.
All right, Sarah, and then I'll get to Tucker's question. I saw it. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yes, I've got two questions. First, so the ABLE Act, the ABLE account won't affect HUD housing.
Right, because yep, HUD is a federal program, so it won't be counted as a resource for HUD either. Nope.
Okay, great, right. And also, where is the nearest branch to Sabatis?
Sabatis.
Be Lewiston, Auburn area?
Okay, I was gonna have to Google that.
Yes, I've been talking to my parents about this, and what I've been doing is I've been putting money into different savings accounts at my own bank to save up for heating and other medical. So the ABLE Act can be used for anything, right? Not just medical expenses.
Yep, not just medical. It just needs to be used for you, but you can use it for heating. You can use it for housing. You can use it for food. Yes, and I do think the closest branch would be Lewiston.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think for the purposes of getting through all of the information, we're gonna pause on questions and let Michaela finish the presentation, and then we'll come back to some more questions. And I do just want to acknowledge that Tucker had asked a question about the minimum balance needed to start up an account, and it was answered by Michaela that the minimum balance is $25 to open an account. And now
Thank
we're
you.
going to turn it back over to Michaela to get through the rest of the slides.
Awesome. Okay, so next we are going to talk about, we went too fast. There we go, limits. So there are 3 types of limits that apply to your ABLE account. It's really important not to deposit more than these limits during the time period that's listed. So the first one is an annual deposit limit. So currently the max that you can deposit in 1 year is $15,000 from any contributor. The next limit is called the additional deposit limit. And that's an amount that is allowed to be deposited by beneficiaries that are working above the $15,000. So eligible beneficiaries can deposit an additional $12,760 on top of their $15,000 as long as they are working and not contributing to a retirement program. Then there's a maximum balance limit, which means the most that you can have in your ABLE account is $500,000. We did choose to go with a balance limit instead of a deposit limit here, this $500,000, so that if you do reach that limit, you could withdraw some money and then contribute more. To help you manage these limits, Bangor Savings Bank does provide a monthly deposit summary notice that will show your progress towards the limits and any overages or any amounts that are above these limits that you may have deposited. So who can deposit money into an ABLE account? ABLE accounts allow contributions or deposits from any source as long as they remain within those deposit limits. Any deposits made are already taxed. So taxes have already come out of that deposit. And you can make deposits at a branch or an ATM, by mail, using online banking or mobile deposit. If someone comes into a branch and wants to make a deposit into your ABLE account, we would ask that that person have your account number, and that's just for your privacy. We want to make sure that someone who's coming in, we don't want to even share with them that you have an ABLE account unless they already have that account number. So that's for your protection. In the event that you do reach the deposit limit, we won't accept any more deposits. So once you've deposited $15,000, we won't allow any additional deposits. If for some reason more money gets put into the ABLE account, we will contact you, we'll reach out to you and try and return that money back to you so that you're not exceeding the limit. And withdrawals, so this is along the lines of the question that Sarah had asked. Unlike deposits, withdrawals can only be made by the beneficiary or their authorized representative. And withdrawals must be used for qualified disability expenses. And you might hear those referred to as QDEs. So QDEs are for the benefit of the beneficiary. So therefore, they need to be used for you. And the money should be used to increase or maintain your health, your independence, or your quality of life. Some examples here are education, housing, transportation, employment training or support, any sort of assistive technology or related services, and basic living expenses, which does include food. For any withdrawal that you take out of the ABLE account, we do recommend saving receipts or copies of the transactions, just in case you are ever asked for documentation or proof of what you spent money on. So Brian asked, do you have to provide proof you used what you withdrew on a QDE? If so, to whom? The only time you would need to provide proof is if you were audited by the IRS, or you may need to provide that to Social Security. You don't have to provide proof to the bank, but that's why it's important to just save, keep good records, save your receipts and document things that you spent money on.
Great, thank you.
Yes. So we talked a lot about ABLE, the ABLE program, and now we're going to talk about the Maine ABLE benefit checking account at Bangor Savings Bank. So it is the only account option for the ABLE Maine program. Accounts can be opened at any Bangor Savings Bank branch by either the beneficiary or their authorized representative. There is a $25 minimum deposit to open the account, and we will not be charging a monthly maintenance fee or requiring a minimum daily balance. Beneficiaries or their representatives can choose to have a debit card or a checkbook for this account, unless in the case of a fiduciary type account. That's one of the words we covered at the beginning, where someone else is taking care of your money for you. In that case, the beneficiary would not be able to have a debit card or checks or online banking. We also do not charge any overdraft fees or insufficient fund fees on ABLE accounts. And if an item comes in and you don't have money available, we will return that item. So we will not pay it. And like I said, we did try and make these terms match as closely as we could to our benefit checking account. So let's talk a little about opening an account and who might be on that account with you. So I'm going to look at this grid from left to right. So we'll start here. A beneficiary, a person with disabilities, can open an ABLE account by themselves. An ABLE beneficiary can open an account and have an optional authorized representative, so they can choose to have anyone that they know and trust help them manage their money. And in both of these instances, the beneficiary can have a debit card and online banking and access to the funds. And here the authorized representative will also be able to access the account. The last two options here that are in yellow, these are fiduciary type accounts. So this first one here, the beneficiary will not have access to the funds, and there has to be an authorized representative who will manage the account for the beneficiary. The authorized representative must be one of the 7 people that are listed in this blue column, and it's in order. So if you have a power of attorney, a conservator or a guardian, a spouse, parent, sibling, grandparent, or representative payee, any of those people can serve as your authorized representative. They just have to be the highest person in that list. So I'll give an example. If you have a power of attorney, that person is going to be your authorized representative. So it can't be your spouse, because the power of attorney is the highest one in that list. This last example here is when the authorized representative is an organization. And usually this happens when a case management agency or similar type of group is serving as your rep payee. So what we will have is we'll have the beneficiary, which is the person with disabilities. They won't access the money. We'll list the organization or the company, and then we will list an authorized signer, who's a person who helps you with your money and can come in and make transactions. What I can assure you is that when you come in to talk with us about opening an ABLE account, if that's what you decide to do, we are going to help you with all of this. So you don't have to know or memorize, or we just we'll just have a conversation with you and we'll talk about your unique circumstance and help you decide what ABLE account structure is best for you. So this is a lot of information. I just don't want you to feel stressed or worried that you have to figure this out by yourself, because we're here to help you. When you're ready to get started, we do recommend that you visit bangor.com, and we have a button that you'll see right on the homepage. It's called Schedule an Appointment. So if you click on that button, you can choose a branch, the branch that's closest to you, and then you can pick a banker, so someone who works at that branch, and you'll be able to pick a time when you want to come in and meet with them. You can also just walk into a branch at any time, and someone will be happy to help you talk about ABLE. Or you can call this number here, so 1-877-226-4671. You can call and we'll talk to you about ABLE. So lots of different choices of how you want to get in touch with us, but we're happy to work with you. When you're ready to get started, these are some things that we will ask you to bring and some things that we don't need you to bring. So here we will ask for a photo ID. And I say valid, which means it can't be expired. We will ask for your social security number or your taxpayer ID number. We will also ask for proof of physical address, which is how we know that you're a Maine resident. We will ask for any legal paperwork. So if the authorized representative is a power of attorney, a conservator or guardian, or a rep payee, they will have paperwork that was given to them that says, yes, I am this person's power of attorney, I'm this person's rep payee. We will ask for that. And if your authorized representative is an organization or a company, we will ask for a document that's called a resolution, and that tells us the person that will be able to sign on behalf of that company. Some things that we won't collect. So we won't ask you for proof that you're receiving Social Security. You don't have to bring in a check or any sort of paperwork related to that. And we won't ask for a copy of a disability certification form. So we don't need you to show us proof that you are in fact disabled, nothing signed by a doctor. If you do have a disability certification, we would just recommend you keep that for your own records. So just maybe create a file or something that says ABLE and put all your papers right in there. And we will ask the beneficiary to disclose the basis of eligibility, so how they're eligible. Either they're receiving SSI or SSDI, or they have a disability certification. And we will also ask if the beneficiary is able for those able to work contributions or that additional deposit limit of $12,760. Finally, we will ask you the type of disability, and there are 7 options to choose from. So we'll ask what type of disability you have, and that's just required for reporting to the IRS. When you come in, the account, as long as we have all this information that we need, we open the account that same day. And if you are able to have a debit card, or if your authorized representative wants to have a debit card, we can actually print those right in the branch. So you can leave with the debit card the same day that you come in. Maybe we can, does anybody raise your hand using Zoom if you already have an ABLE account? Okay. So for rollovers, if you, Tucker, thank you. For rollovers, we can accept a rollover as long as your current ABLE account doesn't have any earnings. So If your current ABLE account pays interest and you have earnings, that's something that we would want to look at before we did the rollover. You can do a rollover from either a qualified ABLE program, so another ABLE account, or a qualified tuition plan, which is a college savings account. And we can do what's called a direct rollover, where we would talk to the other ABLE program and transfer the money directly, or you can withdraw the money and then bring it into us. That's called an indirect rollover. And it's just important that that is completed within 60 days. In order to count as a rollover, it has to be done in 60 days. This is all stuff that the branch can help you with as well. So if you have an ABLE account and you want to talk about a rollover, Mike, Tucker, that's something that you would want to talk to your banker about as well when you come in to make an appointment. Here are some resources. So some places where you can go to learn more information about ABLE. You can visit bangor.com/Maine ABLE. And there you'll find information, some frequently asked questions, some forms and example documents that you might be interested in. And we also have, it's called the ABLE Maine Informational Booklet. It's quite a long book, but it gives you in great detail everything that you would possibly ever want to know about ABLE. We also have in our branches a little pamphlet that looks like this, so you can come and pick up, and it gives you some information just to keep handy. And we also talked about the ABLE National Resource Center. That's where that 3-state comparison tool is. They have a lot of information about ABLE programs. You can look at other states' programs or just read more about eligibility or limits, things like that. So that's another really good resource if you'd like to check it out. So we talked about a lot today. We have about, we'll say about 10 minutes left for questions. So what I'd like to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see all of your faces. And maybe we can look at the chat first. So I answered Brian's question about QDEs. Marco is asking, if someone with a disability uses ABLE account money towards assets later on, like a house or a car, what happens then? Does the government count those assets toward our initial $2,000 limited income? So that might be something you would want to ask like a benefits advisor. I'm not sure, like if you owned property, would that count as a resource? Yeah, I'm not sure I'm the best one to answer that. Like, I don't know if they would consider a car, you know, the value of a car to be a resource when testing eligibility. That's a great question, but I don't think it's one I'm qualified to answer. It would be someone who really knows their stuff on Social Security. Yeah, I'm sorry, Marco, I don't have a good answer for you.
Oh, you're fine. I'm not worried about it. It was just something that occurred to me that.
It's a
Thank
very
you, Brian,
good question.
for dropping that check. Yeah, because it is something I think about because anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. I think Tucker agrees with you and says what does or doesn't count as an asset is pretty confusing and not always black and white. And I think that is definitely true. Brian, thank you. He said that Maine Medical Center has benefit specialists. So that, yes, vocational services, yes, that would be a great, if you had really specific questions about SSI and what is counted. And then Regina says that is part of the CWIC program. Is she referring to the vocational services, benefits counseling, that's part of CWIC. I'm not sure exactly what CWIC is.
Regina, can you unmute and maybe share what you were?
I am part of the Maine Medical Center's vocational rehab stuff. They call it CWIC.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you definitely want to go on the website that Brian shared and make sure to talk to a CWIC counselor. I don't remember what the full name is it though. I know because I did that and I actually got extra benefits for my Section 8. So that's how I was able to benefit from that program.
Wow,
But you
that's amazing.
definitely want to take a look at that. I recommend that.
Very good. Thank you. It's really awesome to see how you guys work together and help each other
Thank you.
with these complicated things.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Tell me about it.
John, you have your hand raised.
What is the 529 plan or the 529A plan anyway?
So 529, that is the section of law. So that's where that number comes in. It's section 529. And so originally 529 plans were only college savings plans. So you would put money into your 529 account. In Maine, they're called FAME. FAME is the organization that runs the college savings plans. And then the money can only be used for tuition. That same model, this 529 model, was used to create ABLE. So it's basically a similar account, except instead of using the money for tuition, you're using the money for qualified disability expenses. So they call that 529A for ABLE.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Eric? You're muted, Eric.
Yeah, just one other question that I had for the benefit specialist. That was great. That was great as far as the authorized folks who can be on an ABLE account. My sister is my representative payee, but she is virtually the only person that I have that handles helps me with handling my money. No, I have no other folks that are able to do that. So would she, if we were to open an account, would she be able to be at the top of the pecking order per se?
Yes. Yep. If you don't have, sounds like you don't have a power of attorney or guardian. So as long as she's the highest willing and able person to serve as your authorized representative, then yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you that because I am my own guardian.
Yes, very good. Good question.
Tucker?
Hi, I just have a quick question. I was wondering what you would think the best way for us to advertise an ABLE account to other people would be. I'm assuming social media, but I'm not sure a lot of people know about ABLE accounts. So I'm wondering what's happening on that end.
So some things that we are doing as a bank, the most important thing for us right now is conversations like this. So we've found that it's really helpful for us to be able to come and talk with different groups like yours, to talk with case management agencies. We've done a presentation for Autism Society of Maine. So this is really a good way for us to spread the word. If you know, word of mouth is amazing. If you know people with disabilities or that you think might benefit from ABLE, I think just mentioning it to them, saying, have you heard about ABLE? You know, I can send you some information, or sharing our website with them. That would be really incredible. And we have done some social media. Yes. It's just helping, getting in touch with specific groups that work with or include people with disabilities. That's really the best way. So someone said, who said this? Brian, Unlimited Solutions Clubhouse. Yes. So they're actually just right down the street from us. You probably see our building when you come in.
I've actually done concert parking with you guys.
Very good.
So
That's so
I've been a member
exciting.
there a couple years.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Yes. So please do, you can share information with them. And yes, I think that's how you can help us the most.
Once this presentation is available on our website, I'll shoot them a link to that too.
Yes. Thank you for wanting to help.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put this in our, I have a plan, people. Once it's up, then it will go in the newsletter, and then it's gonna go out to about 300 people, and that's gonna be like the happy holidays in
Awesome.
the Able accounts. So,
Yay. That's great.
There are other questions.
Eric?
This is mainly a question for Lori. Are you gonna post this on the SUFU website as well?
yes, Eric.
Okay.
Margot, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you. You guys have thought of everything, it seems like. It's been a long time coming. I know the ABLE Act was an Obama administration thing that came about, and it looks like we finally have a plan in place to get the ball running, get it up and going, and I'm impressed. I like this.
Thank you. That means a lot to us. It really does.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming today, Michaela.